I'm John Barklow, and I'm the Senior Product Manager of Hunting at SITKA Gear.
I'm Adam Foss, I'm a SITKA Ambassador, and I hunt in the mountains up in Canada, where I'm from.
We're at a one-of-a-kind facility at the GORE Comfort Lab, and we're going to do what's called the rewarming drill. We've got tanks in the back, we're gonna get in the water, and this is to simulate a worst-case scenario if you were to get wet in the field and show the capabilities of the gear and how it can perform.
This has to be off. It says 32.7.
So when we get out, we're gonna get into the Hyperdown jacket and pant, and then ultimately we're gonna get in the Hyperdown sleeping bag, and that's going to reverse our heat loss. So to record some of these metrics, we're going to swallow these RFID chips. That's gonna provide that body core temp, pulse, heart rate, and then all the other metrics are recorded via the lab. And so are you ready to do this?
Let's do it.
If you ever want to know what it's like to dig your own grave, I cannot stress enough, do not try this at home. Do not go try to jump in a frozen lake or river and try to simulate this.
Any last words?
Don't think about it. Starting to shiver, Adam.
I'm pretty cold. This is pretty cold, actually.
All right, we'll come at 5. Okay. I've got 20 years of experience, so I know what to expect after this, but if I didn't, you could definitely see how panic would potentially set in. And that's why it's, critical with this gear that people understand how it works, so you don't panic, which is the worst thing you could do in a situation like this out in the field. I'm fine, I'm in stasis, and all of a sudden I just felt it, and then like the shivering started.
Yeah.
Doing it right, Adam?
Chest is cold, like right here. Yeah, now I'm like really starting to shiver. I think it's just that dampness is setting in.
I'll get some hot water going. I can't feel my hands. So once we get the puff on, stop heat loss, get in the tent, get in the bags, we can start reversing that with some warm drinks and no food.
Oh, cheers! Oh.
Cheers. Feels good to get that fluid inside,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
This is obviously a scenario that we're creating, but if you're in this scenario in the field, like what's the most important thing for people to take away?
I think the most important thing is for people to understand that, clothing is going to be your first line of defense against the elements, right? Puff up, put a wind jacket on, rain gear, whatever it is. And then seek shelter under bushes, trees, behind rocks, a tent if you have it, right? Like in this case, because we're wet, our body is this metabolic engine that's going to create heat, that's going to push the moisture out. A lot of times you can't make a fire.
Yeah.
Now let's eat something. Let's crank that metabolism. So another thing you can do is boil a liter of water, pour it back in your Nalgene, and then throw that boiling hot Nalgene in the sleeping bag, and that'll definitely warm your feet. It's actually pretty good. So, at this point, we're an hour in. That aggressive shivering that at least I had when I got out is gone. I would say we're stabilized. You know, you can see with the bag, the moisture coming through. What's so interesting about this is, you know, I'm not the biggest proponent, haven't been, of down in the past in a wet environment, because if you lose the loft of the down, you lose the ability for that product to keep warmth. Treated downs have come so far that you can do something as extreme as what we just did, and there's still loft in these garments. I just know from experience, you know, by tomorrow morning I'd be ready to go again. So what about you?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm still got probably a little bit more shivering than you, but overall, yeah, feeling, I mean, even just a clearer train of thought. I mean, I think we both just like became really singularly focused on getting the tent set up.
Yeah, you got some things you really do need to knock out to kind of stop that body heat loss from going downhill. You know, that's part of what this drill shows. Shows what a technical clothing system can do, and quality gear that's, you know, had some thought and knowledge put into assembling systems, not just individual pieces. And I can't overstate that enough, that the capabilities of this modern clothing, you know, this Hyperdown as an example, is just amazing. Like even 10 years ago, you couldn't have found this kind of performance, and now you can. It's
fantastic. I mean, we've tried it in the field, and anecdotally knowing how well this stuff works and how warm it is for how light it is, it's absolutely insane. It's the warmest and best insulation that SITKA's ever made, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. Nobody likes to be cold and wet, so if you can solve for keeping people warm and dry, like, that's a huge value. It's a huge value to me being out in the field. This is the best system I've ever tested.